Hi, this is Thomas Donald Jacobs for Paperboys on Thursday. Today's topic is um, issues with regard to transgender people in the military. Um, I think the reason why this subject was suggested um, has to do with the reversal of the 2016 policy allowing transgender personnel to serve openly. Obviously, I don't agree with that change in policy, um, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, so first, um, the 2016 policy. Okay, um, that year, the U.S. Department of Defense undertook a survey on workplace and gender relations in the military. Based on that survey, they estimated that there were at most about 10,000 active and reserve transgender individuals in the military. Now, that is out of 1.3 million total active personnel, which means we're talking about a very tiny, tiny group that is being singled out here. Um, Secondly, the military itself concluded in 2016, based on its own consultation with medical personnel experts, that transgender servicemen and women, whether in the process of medically transitioning or not, in no way pose a risk to military readiness. There's no effect on the capabilities of our military to respond effectively in any situation. Thirdly, in terms of unit cohesion, we know that transgender individuals have served in the military for decades with no problems. Many of the older transgender women that I have come into contact with, especially when I first started to transition, um, are in fact veterans. And okay, setting aside my own views on the US military in general, these women served honorably, and they don't deserve to be told retroactively that they weren't good enough. They, unlike the current president, they paid their dues. Okay. Um, Lastly, the military also determined that with regard to medical costs, the expenses relating to gender dysphoria treatment for servicemen and women are negligible. Now, we can have a debate on bioethics in relation to public health care costs, but if your arguments boil down to religion, I'm afraid that you are out of the game, um, because the US isn't a theocracy, and will of God reasoning isn't a good place to go when you're talking about treating illnesses. Um, Unless you're a practicing Christian Scientist, you have no credibility there. Okay? So the only issue here, in fact, is that Donald Trump and Mike Pence are opportunistic bigots, and they are ignoring the US military's own experts in order to single out a tiny, tiny minority so that they can score cheap points with religious extremists and the misinformed. This is part of a concerted effort to erase transgender people from public and civic life, rightly or wrongly. With the rise of the nation state as a historical phenomenon, military service in countries around the world has been, certainly definitively from the 19th century onwards, seen as a form of cultural legitimacy. Groups that serve are lauded, and those that do not are cast as other. So denying transgender men and women the ability to serve in the military is a way of further marginalizing us. That's the issue. So those are my thoughts, and you don't have to take my word for it. I have posted a link below to the 2016 U.S. Department of Defense policy, which itself includes links to the research and policy memos that were developed at the time. That's on the U.S. government archive site. The current government has a habit of deleting information that it does not want other people to see. So if you can't find it there after a certain point, I would suggest going to the Internet Archive website and looking for it there. I'll see you next week. Bye.